I need some sunshine. I need some natural vitamin D up in my life.
Yeah.
I also definitely need a bikini wax. And honestly, one of my favorite bikini waxes is in Scottsdale. So
all right.
I should actually just make that appointment. Just get that going for myself. I really
leave your pubes in Arizona.
Yeah. Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
We're the same age, I think, Cameron.
Yeah, we 43?
Oh, no. I'm older than you.
How old are you?
I'm 45.
We're like, that's the same age.
If you were in high school together at the same time, it's basically the same age, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm older than both of you. And the lighting is really bad in this booth.
Yeah, the lighting's not great, Case.
Well, the lighting's really bad here. Everybody's doing their best. It's like
Weird. That's the name of the podcast.
Yes, you're right.
Guys, I have things that are not doing my best, but you know what, Cameron? I just have to tell you, I just finished the special. I watched it this morning.
Oh, thanks, Busy.
And I cried.
I did too.
Thanks.
It's really good, Cameron.
I laughed.
Thank you.
So I laughed so. First of all, maybe I shouldn't have
Your
led with I
comedy
cried.
special made us cry.
No, I think that's actually cool. I think that's cool.
But I found it incredibly. I'm still crying about it. I just found it incredibly moving and like so relatable in so many ways. About trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with you.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you know what I mean?
For sure, of course.
But also just how personal what we choose to, when you choose to do something creative that you love, how personal and deep it is. And, you know, I don't want to ruin the special for people because I want people to watch it, but it was really moving, incredibly moving and really fucking funny.
The information so that they will watch it. First of all, who are we talking to? One of my favorite comedians of all time, Cameron Esposito. And by the way, like I know all the comedians. So like when I say
every single one.
I literally only like 3. And it's Paul F. Tompkins, you.
Great.
And there's got to be a third one.
There's got to be a third.
Oh, Chris Fleming. And Chris Fleming.
Chris Fleming.
Oh,
okay.
Chris Fleming. I mean, those are great. Those are what great company.
Yeah. And very different, by the way.
I was just going to say, you're really nailing the idea of eclectic taste, which I love.
Thank you.
Cameron has a new special on Dropout TV, which shout out to Dropout TV. They are really killing it over there. They're doing great things.
They're having this moment of like massive growth. You know, it used to be called, oh my God, holy shit. Wait, hang on. What is it? What did it used to be called? When it was, College Humor.
College Humor.
Yeah. Called College Humor. And then some of the like employees are now the owners.
Yes.
And they changed it to Dropout. And it's like it started as sort of like a nerdcore zone. And now they have like a show where folks play Dungeons and Dragons that just sold out Madison Square Garden.
Oh,
so like their growth is like actual Madison Square Garden, not like the theater, but like the actual stadium.
Whoa.
So
wait, people just wanted to watch them play Dungeons and Dragons? It's like
yes, because it's like this, you know, it's this group of improvisers, you know, comedic improvisers, in case anybody's listening doesn't know what I'm talking about, who did this in their own life, like as just like their little hobby side thing. And they started filming it and it got huge. It's called Dimension 20. It is massive. They're going to play the bowl. They're going to play the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I know, it's kind of wild. They have a rabid fan base. But what I would also say is that, and the special is called 4Pills. I cut you off.
Yes.
Because I was too jazzed.
Cameron's special is called 4Pills. Yeah. Cameron will probably also sell out Madison Square Garden.
That's what's next. I'm hoping for within the next week to sell out.
That sounds great.
With the boost that y'all are giving me, off we go.
We don't know.
Off you go.
It could.
Absolutely.
Mr. Madison could be
couldn't agree more.
listening. Mr. Square Garden could be listening.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't know.
I think it's very cool also because they're very artist friendly and they invest in people like making what they want to make, which I've had that opportunity a couple times in my career, where sometimes you're on like a network TV show and the parameters are really like show up and do this job. And then sometimes the parameters are like, what do you want to make? And how can we support you do that? I'm sure you both know exactly what I'm talking about.
We know what you're talking about. And you directed the special, which normally I'd be like, okay, you directed a comedy special, but without spoiling it, you really directed this, and it's well done. I watched it with my husband last night bi-coastally.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was like a little date for us, and he loved it as well. And we were trying to think of like the right word for like what's special about it and what's special about the way that you directed it. But I'd rather just, because like sometimes when somebody says something is really special, I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
It's just not for me, like it's
sure. And absolutely anything can be framed as special with the right PR. Hey, all female 10 minutes in space and all female 10 minutes in space.
Special.
Very, very special.
Wow.
And you know what? Maybe it was. Maybe it was.
It's a Disneyland ride for billionaires.
It sounded like that ride that people always pass out on with a corn dog in their hand. And
oh my God, absolutely. It's a big world after all. Maybe it's called that. I'm spitballing.
Honest to God, feel like if they just turned Star Tours into that, like it could just be a simulated, we would just all get the same experience.
Yeah, it's like the thing that used to happen at the beginning of the Mars 2112 restaurant.
Oh my God, totally. Well, I think the main difference is the tailored flight suits.
I was going to say hair, makeup and wardrobe.
And I really don't mean to shit on those people, but like, what are we doing? What are we doing in 22.5?
Let me tell you something. I had this conversation with a friend of mine yesterday, which is like, and Casey and I say it all the time. We want women to be allowed to be as mediocre as men all the time. Like anything
Absolutely.
They can do, we should be able to do. And you know, these dumb fucking billionaires have been going up in the penis rocket because they can and because they just fucking do. And now we've got women, it's equal. Ladies have gotten.
I couldn't agree more.
It's a monkey's paw situation. We asked for equality. We did not specify.
It's a monkey's paw.
The type of
God,
equality.
It's a fucking monkey's paw. But you know what?
So
but you know what, though? I was just like, it just is a bummer. It's just a bummer. It's just a bummer right now for so many reasons. But the fact that those shuttles are happening in general, whether or not it's women or whoever, whatever, the fact that those are happening has always been a bummer for me. Because they're not doing anything.
You know what I'll say? In 22.5, I couldn't feel like billionaires are bigger goofballs. Like there was a different time where it was like, oh my God, are they prescient? Are they ahead, like the leaders of our time? And now it's
from
just
another
like,
time.
They're goofing around. Like they're goofing around with our country.
Yes, they're just showing off.
Intergalactic travel. Like they're just goofing. It's like they bought like a Nerf basketball hoop and they're just like in their mom's basement and it just nothing makes any sense. Nothing makes any sense.
Well, like billionaires in this country, like it's like they built the railroads. They like built buildings. They added to arts. They decided to invest, all of their money in the arts and creating. And these guys are just like, I don't know. We just can my wife go to space? I guess.
I guess electric cars in space. I guess it will eventually, or AI. I guess these things will help us, but they are looking like idiots along the way. I don't know. But did you see Mark Zuckerberg borrowed like Benson Boone's jumpsuit and did a flip at his wife's birthday?
For his wife's
and like
birthday.
it's just like put on a bow tie and go to a society event in New York. This is what you're supposed
Yeah.
Yes.
Billionaires once
Support the
hired
Met.
others to do their onstage clownery.
Yeah. Donate to City Harvest.
Absolutely.
Whatever. I don't know.
Oh my God, Mackenzie Scott.
Yes.
Who is his next?
Jeff Bezos' former wife.
Ex-wife, who has dispersed, it's like, I think billions. She is quietly sending her money everywhere that money needs to be.
Well, yes. And also Lorraine Jobs, same thing, who's Steve Jobs' widow. She started the Emerson Collective Foundation, and they give money out, and they don't publicize it, but they support, which is like so fucking women. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, but just is like, publicize it. Shame, maybe shame is the only thing that could work for these guys.
That's really funny. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Nothing else seems to be working.
Well, I mean, but is it shame that created these behaviors?
That's a really
not
good
current
question.
shame, but childhood shame.
Yeah.
Which again, that's what makes you a stand-up comic as well.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, the last time we spoke to you was pre bipolar diagnoses when you were studying to be a priest.
I was, which I do not regret, but also may have been part of a manic episode.
By the way, we supported. We were like,
I was very supportive.
Me too. I learned so much. And like, it's not, I guess for me, what I'll say is that nothing that has come into my life because of bipolar disorder has been inherently negative. But the thing that I say in the special, and that's just true, is like, the thing is, you can ride the rails off into, the ocean. Like, it's just like, if you're chugging along, you're achieving so much, you're knocking down doors, like you're really, or at least in my experience, I was an unstoppable force, even just in terms of my interests, right? Like, I'm a stand-up comic and I'm incredibly interested in theology, always have been. And so now I'm going to go study at 8 different universities online because it's the pandemic. That's cool. Like, I actually do think that's cool. But like, the problem is when I can't stop. And I think that's the thing that medication helps with, is just any ability to like, it's like in a cartoon where they like throw the emergency brake on the like little thing that's going through the mine. You know what I mean? Like one of those carts, and then the thing breaks off in their hands and they look at it. Like that's the vibe.
Oh my gosh. Well, your special 4Pills is really super revealing and personal, which I think is why I liked it so much. And I understand your situation is very unique. So this material was so unique, but you were so vulnerable and shared such personal information. And one of the things that really oh my gosh, I'm going to cry talking about it. It's just, you talked a little bit about like your romantic relationships and how much difficulty they've been through as a result of like you were bipolar and didn't know it. But then when you talked about how comedy is your longest romantic relationship, that just got me right in the guts because I just felt it, and how it's also made that difficult, and how treating your bipolar has also presented you with new challenges with respect to comedy. How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, you've actually already heard it on this podcast where I have what is affectionately known as brain fog, where like sometimes I just can't exactly remember the word or like the person's name. I'm pretty good at getting there, but that's a new experience for me. So doing stand up is different. Like I have notes with me, and I'm a little slower and more calm. Some of that is positive because I used to be so, I think, aggressive and do a lot of showmanship, and that's great too. But I don't know that I needed to be that way for my entire life. It was exhausting and like took a big toll on me. So I'm learning to do a thing I've done for 20 years with just like a completely different presentation. I mean, something that I did in the special was sat on a stool the entire time. And part of that is there's like a lot of camera movement and like different angles, and we actually shot at 2 different locations. So like there was enough going on that I was trying to match that it wouldn't have been helpful for me to be moving around. But then the other part is just that I'm not, like, I think the dynamism is different. Like, I think I'm not dynamically running all over the stage. I think it's different. So that is interesting and challenging. I think the benefits are that it seems like I can connect with people better. And you two are awesome. And I think we've had great chats in the past. So, because you're the coolest. So I don't think it was impossible for me to talk to people.
Yeah.
And I do think that my mind can be a little more present. So it's like I'm spaced out a little bit sometimes in like taking the SATs in my mind, but right. I'm also like present in my marriage and with other people in this beautiful way. I don't know. It's fucking weird, man. I don't really know what one is supposed to do about this.
When you were talking about how you have to search for words sometimes, yeah. I was like, I don't know if this will make Cameron feel better or not, but that was going to happen in 10 years anyway because of menopause. So you just got to jump on it.
I was going to say that is a thing that happens. I also get stress-induced like aphasia, just FYI. Lots of people, Cameron, have a hard time
I think
capturing
that's right.
those words.
Absolutely. I certainly don't think that I'm the only one. I do think that when we talk about medication, which for me has been life-changing, I think it's important to talk about like the whole thing, because when I was diagnosed, I tried to read like everything I could possibly read. And there's like 4 things. Everybody's like, oh, buy this one book. And then like, here's a podcast. And it's like, there's just not that much information.
Right.
So I didn't really know what to expect. I mean, I have a good psychiatrist, but it's not like I heard people talk about this.
Right.
And it happens to a lot of people with brain meds where like, there's so many positives and then there are side effects. And I don't know that we talk about that enough because, you know, this has been a choice that I will make for the rest of my life. And, okay, you know, because we do talk about when people have a different chronic illness, not 100%, by the way, chronic illness is also thrown under the rug, but like we might talk about how it might be hard to do this or might be challenging to do this. And, you know, a lot of people are just like, they're on brain meds in the workplace. I'm in such an unusual position because I get to talk about this openly. And I'm like not going to get fired by my own boss, which is me. But a lot of people are just like, their brain is trying to absorb this and then they're a lawyer or whatever. And I can just imagine that's very isolating.
Well, yeah, 100%. Also, I remember going off of an antidepressant. I wrote about this in my book, and like getting these brain zaps and feeling totally like out of myself, you know, which can also happen like when you're trying to get medication right, or when they're titrating down, or when they, you know, you feel like you've had too much or whatever. You really go through in detail the medications that you're currently taking. But does it adjust? And like, how does menopause fit into that? Because you are 42, 3?
43.
Okay. Because like
I'm
at
not
some point,
perimenopause. There yet,
no, you're not there yet. No, I'm not either. But like, do they talk about that? Is that a thing?
No, I mean, well, nobody talks about that anyway. So
I know,
not really.
I'm saying, like, I'm very curious.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's such a good question. And the only reason I said I'm not quite there yet is because I don't even have anything to read about this. You know what I mean? Again, it's like somehow this very normative experience is like off the map. Like we're like going to space, but we don't have information about what is happening to the bodies of like 50% of the population. You know, so I think that's very real. You know, the one thing I'll say that I know about my medication is that you don't have to go off my medication if you're pregnant, which is really cool because there are some medications you do have to go off of, which does make it seem extra challenging. And I also don't have to have, I have bipolar 2. And so I'm on a drug that doesn't really have like withdrawal symptoms and you don't have to get a blood test. But for instance, if you have bipolar 1, that's often treated with lithium, and folks who have that going on, which is can make life livable, have to go in constantly for blood tests. And just even like the time that this takes in your life, which is the same thing as menopause and like all of these other things that I think some people deal with. And then we don't talk about how it's like, okay, well, I mean, I used to have a joke about this too. It's like, even just, I mean, whatever. I did have a joke that was extremely popular that was about periods, and so many people have those jokes. But just the idea that like,
that's one of my favorite jokes of all time.
yeah,
one of my
we're
favorite
like bleeding
bits.
chunks out of our body, and then we have to go to work.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think I sometimes focus on things like then we have to just be in the world because it's so nuts.
Yes.
Like, you can't just
one of the
hide at
reasons
home.
why I love that joke and I've shared it with so many people is because I always knew I was a chunky bleeder. And I always thought, like, this is just how I am. Nobody else is bleeding chunks out of them. And then I've shared it with so many women who are like, oh my God, I thought I was the only person expelling mouse-sized pieces of tissue out of my uterus.
Totally.
But your bit, like, laid it all out. It should be in schools. They should show it in schools.
You know what? I agree with you because it's not all that helpful to see that like thin blue liquid.
No, not at all.
Dribbled
Oh my
onto a
gosh.
pad. Remember when we used to have commercials? We don't really have commercials anymore, but that was from that.
Commercials with blue liquid on the pad.
Remember what I'm talking about? Yeah.
I do.
know
Wait, when we did Busy Tonight, didn't we make
We
a
made
fake
a
commercial?
fake feminine products commercial
Oh,
where we just used real blood
to see
and we were
that.
like, this
Well,
is what
real
it really
fake
looks
blood.
like, real fake blood.
And we put chunks in it, didn't we?
yeah, it was chunky.
Yeah.
Yes.
Where is that commercial? I want to see it.
I bet Nelson has it on his laptop.
Okay, but have him send it to me. I'd like to see it.
Too. Forward it along.
Yeah, it's what's really interesting to me about brain meds too is just like for me and members of my family getting diagnosed with various things and trying various medications, how much doctors are like, well, this is how I think this should work on you, but we'll see. Like, let me know how it's going because you just don't know. I was on an antidepressant myself, and it was the particular one that I was given, I was told was like so good. It was doing like a world of good for so many people, and I'm sure it was. I felt like I had been taken apart and put back together wrong. That was just my personal, like, biological reaction to that medication. When I told my doctor, she was just sort of like, oh my God, like, that's bad. We shouldn't keep taking this. It's bad for you. But it really does work very well for a lot of my other patients. And I was like, no, I swear to you, this is making me feel bad. So, like, we need to find another thing. And then I just casually, like, ran into another person who had that same reaction, who was like, yeah, I felt like my arms were, like, on the wrong sides or whatever. Like, that it didn't
That's
work.
not good.
It's not good. It's not depressing to feel that way.
For sure. It's like the amount that I'm lucky is so wild because I live in Los Angeles. My psychiatrist sees a lot of people who work in creative professions because my biggest thing is that like I do have this brain fog, but I was really, really worried that like I wouldn't be able to do any of the jobs I do at all. And so he has specific experience in that. But again, it's just like to thread the needle of like getting the right help and actually having access to it. It's incredibly unusual. Like this is just not people's normative experience.
Well, I'm so glad though. And I also think that it seems to me like you are just the kind of person that you're so curious about everything that I think I'm like, well, I'm really glad that Cameron was curious about what was going on with.
That's so cool. I love that. Like that's a sick way of thinking about it. I think that's true. I mean, I do think talk about frontiers of exploration, one's own mind.
Yeah.
You gotta be kidding me. Like what's going on in your own brain? I mean, that's bananas. So,
well, and also to your point, like no one studies women anyway. So we have to be the ones that are the most curious and continue to like try to get the answers, even when they're like, it's the end of the road. There's no answers for you. It's like, well,
totally.
I think we can dig deeper.
Yeah.
perhaps.
I think that's right. Yeah. And I mean, the other thing I'll say is that people that have bipolar 1, they suffer from bouts of psychosis, which is the main difference. And so again, just in terms of even people that can speak on behalf of like some of the experience, it's, I think, I feel like some responsibility because I have access to medication and like solid psychiatric care. And also because having bipolar 2, I have, a ton of symptoms. And I also am mostly connected to reality, although not 100%. And so that, I think it makes it even more important to be able to talk about it.
Helix mattresses. I mean, that was a pretty good one.
That was a good one.
It was good. It was new. It was different. It's new.
Fresh.
Guys, we've talked to you about Helix mattresses before. Let's talk to you about them again. I don't know about you.
My Helix mattress.
You're missing it right now?
Yeah.
Can we just get you? Maybe we should just get you one while you're here.
That would be great.
It would be luxurious.
It is luxurious.
But you know what? It's worth it because how much improvement in your sleep do you have when you're sleeping on your Helix mattress?
Well, it's just so wild that we spend so much time in bed and then how it affects the quality of our life when we're out of bed.
Mm-hmm.
And yet it's something so simply solved. But how many of us don't solve it?
Well, I also think people are just like, they forget about their mattresses. They're like, well, I'm stressed. It's the state of the world. Right. I'm hot. I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, also, when was the last time you got a new mattress? Maybe it's time. Maybe if your back hurts every morning, you need to look at your mattress and not like it's not your workout, actually. It's your mattress.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
My point is, listen, it's time for an upgrade. I think you got to try it. Helix mattresses are incredible and can help with a myriad of things. And also how it works is so great because you take a little quiz. They match you with your perfect mattress. That mattress shows up right to your door, guys. And then you sleep on that mattress. Okay? Wait, hear me out. And then if you don't like it, you have 100 nights to try it, risk-free, right? And it's just kind of like a win-win. But you're going to love your new mattress, and it's going to be like a whole vibe for you. So I think that's the pitch. That's my elevator pitch for Helix mattresses.
Yeah. We've been sleeping on them for years at this point. 5 years?
Yeah, almost 5 years. We've been a Helix mattress family.
Yeah.
They have mattresses for big and tall sleepers. They've got mattresses for kids. They've got kids mattresses. They have mattresses that offer more support. They have the Luxe line, big and tall people that are hot when they sleep, all kinds of things. Okay, guys, here's what I need you to do. You can get 20% off site-wide right now, okay? And all you do is you go to helixsleep.com/best for 20% off site-wide. helixsleep.com/best. That's helixsleep.com/best. Oh my goodness, Blue Land. I actually have to place an order for my for Blue Land. This is actually a great reminder for me. I need to actually place an order for Blue Land. Here's the thing. I don't know if you missed it, if you saw it. There's lots of news to catch up on, but the EPA just banned 2 cancer-causing chemicals. And there's actually a very good chance that they're in a lot of the cleaning products that you already have, like in your home. And here's what I'm going to say to you. Why are you taking chances with your family and your pets and your health? Get them out of there. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. And that is why we love Blue Land so much. And I use all of their cleaning products. They're EPA Safer Choice certified. I trust that they only use safe, clean, and effective ingredients. But also, like, that's part of the reason why Blue Land was started in the first place. They're on a mission to make cleaning essentials better for you and for the planet and to eliminate single-use plastic. And they did it very, seemingly very easily, but the products work really well. It's the same powerful clean you need. They offer refillable cleaning products, beautiful, cohesive design of those bottles,
Yes.
cleaning sprays, hand soap, toilet bowl cleaners, laundry tablets. All Blue Land products are made with clean ingredients that you can feel good about. Plus, because you refill the bottles with water and then drop in the tablets that have all of the ingredients in them that you need to clean, you're not lugging like heavy products from the grocery store or like your, whatever run.
Yeah.
And those products aren't being shipped across the country or wherever, which is like better for the environment in that way too. I'm just saying.
It's a win all around between my frugality, my laziness, and my concern for the environment, and my love of bougie smells. Blue Land is like, it's the perfect.
It's actually amazing. Yes,
brand.
It is. It is. They're, tested independently to perform alongside major brands, and they're free from the dyes and the bleach and the harsh chemicals. Blue Land is trusted in over 1 million homes, including mine and Casey's. I love them. Guys, Earth Day is coming up. Celebrate. If you haven't yet, this is your chance. Celebrate Earth Month and make the switch today. Get 15% off your first order by going to blueland.com/best. You don't want to miss it. blueland.com/best for 15% off. That's blueland.com/best to get 15% off. Do you have like a moment? Have you had a moment? You were diagnosed at 40.
Mhm.
And similar, but different, but similar. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 40, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
And it really did allow me to look back on my life and have so much more compassion for myself. And I'm curious if you had that experience where, like, almost like memento.
Oh,
you
yeah,
look
for
back
sure.
at your life and you're able to really allow yourself like some
Yeah.
grace for
I mean,
behavior or relationships or whatever.
I've had that experience twice in my life. One, when I realized that I was queer. That was it was like harrowing as well, but it was also like, oh, like it does bring a little chuckle to one's experience looking back at why your boyfriends were such close friends.
When did you realize? At what age?
I was like 20. Yeah. So interesting, I guess, because 20 and then 40. But when I look back at my childhood, and I was raised in the 80s and 90s, so it's not like anybody was talking about mental health care.
Right.
And I think about my own experience. I also think a lot about my parents who, like, some parts of my childhood, I had a tough relationship with them because, like, for instance, I had a hard time getting out the door. I'm now realizing because I was overstimulated and had like a lot of activities in my life. And then I also there's one door in my house growing up that locked, which was the bathroom. And I would go in the bathroom for like hours. And my parents were like genuinely worried about whether or not I could go to college because they were like, your bathroom habits are going to make it hard for you to function in a dorm room. And I say this in the special, like I would have these sort of like dissociative moments where like if I got really, really overwhelmed, I would like shut the door to my room and sort of attack my own things that I owned and break things and tear things apart. And, I think my parents were really just doing the best that they could without support for them either. I mean, but I just feel like it's like, I didn't get in trouble for the breaking stuff, which is so wild. They would just kind of gently help me clean up. But yeah, I was like in trouble all the time for not being able to like get to school on time, stuff like that. But I'm now realize it's like, I was just like, I couldn't take it, it was just like a lot to be.
Right.
Because I have auditory sensitivity. So yeah, I was like, I think I was genuinely suffering.
Yeah.
But you have like a kid and you're just like, you have to go to school. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
like I can't have like the police, bust you for truancy. Like you do have to go to school.
I was also lock myself in the bathroom for hours when I was a kid too. It was because like I lived in such a tiny house and nobody had any boundaries, I think is why I did it. So I just treated it like, like a safe room kind of. Like I would lock myself.
What would you do in there?
I would stare in the mirror for a really long time. I would act out commercials. Like we were talking about out before. Sometimes I would sit in the tub, sans water and read. I would lay on the floor and do my homework and not let a soul in to go to the bathroom for hours after school. Like 2 solid hours.
Amazing. Yeah.
But I loved the run that you did in the special about how you were like, here's all the things that have happened in my life and I am not even the most interesting person in my family.
Uh-huh. Yes.
It was so funny.
That's
and so
true.
Relatable. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I have a pretty remarkable family. And I didn't really understand why. Because I think like a lot of people's families, like everybody in my family has like 18 jobs and is like successful in all of them. Or it's just like, the energy is pretty through the roof. And then my friends would like, I don't know, they would like watch TV with their families, but that's not what we did.
Yeah. Well, I think it's like we are always talking about like quantum entanglement. And I think like sometimes you just like energetically know your family. Like even if a new child comes into your family that you've never met, like you just know them on this like quantum level or whatever. But I remember when my older son was little, he was like, I forget what he said, but he said like some kind of like vicious / comical threat about like something that he wanted. And I was like, said to my mother-in-law, who is the nicest person in the world, and the mother of my husband, who also is one of the nicest people that I know in this world. And I was like, sometimes I worry that like this kid is going to be like a serial killer or something. Like what, when he says something like this, I'm like, where did he get this? And my mother-in-law was like, when Matthew was little, he used to threaten to burn down the house every day.
What?
Like if he didn't get what he wanted for Christmas, he was going to set the house on fire.
Oh my God.
And I was just like, oh, like, I wish you would have told me this. Like, I wish you would have told me this before I wondered. Like, it's just, but she just knew her own family on such a quantum level that she was like, oh, this is just like, this is what little boys do, I guess. I don't know. It's so weird.
I don't know.
I was unfamiliar. And by the way, my son's 26 now and he's never set the house on fire. He's never done anything.
Well, great. We won. Cameron, in the special you talk about, and like actually I think in 2021 when we talked, you had also mentioned this because maybe that was around when you were doing the egg retrieval. But in the special, you're like, my wife and I are talking about expanding our family. Do you think you would carry a baby? Do you want to? Is that something that's fascinating to you? Are you doing it?
Well,
are you pregnant?
here's what I'll say. I have no interest in that, which doesn't mean that I won't, actually.
Okay.
I think that one thing I don't understand, not the utility. Like, I get why one would, because of results that one would like, including children.
Yeah.
But I don't. When people talk about like, it's something I've wanted my whole life, or like just sort of like I guess it's when people talk about like the white dress that they're going to wear to their wedding. And by the way, looking back at my 2 weddings I've had, because I've been married twice, I feel like maybe I'll wear a white dress to some premiere in the future because like okay, I could see the appeal of a white dress, but it wasn't like something that I like dreamed about in my life.
Uh-huh.
And similarly, the idea of, well, I have like body stuff just around, like I'm very kind of controlling around my body because of gender stuff. Like I want to feel muscular and all these things. And I don't have an interest in having a passenger, really, particularly. Although I don't know,
Or
maybe
parasite. Sometimes we just it's a parasite.
But also like maybe that is not true. I've not had the experience.
Right.
And then I think the other thing I'll say is that this sort of like, divine feminine situation is like, I don't know if I feel connected to that. So then I'm like, I don't know. I just mean the way people talk about it, this like flowering and like, is that something that either of you have
No, I
related
think
to in your
I was
lives?
just thinking like about how the way that you're talking about it sounds a lot more thoughtful, I think, than a lot of people are about it, because I do think that people romanticize the notion of carrying a child when in fact it is like a very disruptive biological process. When I was pregnant, again with that same child that threatened us when he was little, I worked on a talk show, in the mornings, and a celebrity who I had dealt with in the past, but this person's like very touchy-feely, did that thing where they came right up, put their hands right on my belly, and were like just effusively like, oh my God, is it so magical? Is it so beautiful? Is it so like, and I was like, it's like an alien is inside me. And like, she was very upset that I was that honest, but I also was just like so thrown off but it's like, if you're claustrophobic at all or anything like that, it's
I am claustrophobic, and I did not. I don't agree with that. But yes.
I felt like it was something that I wish I could like take it off and put it like in a drawer for the night or whatever. You know what I mean? Like I felt trapped in this situation that I couldn't exit until the child was ready to exit. So, I felt very much like that. And I was freaked out by it. I was freaked out by how much I craved like eating Burger King, and I tried to go up to the counter and get a Whopper every day and almost barfed on the Burger King counter because like my brain wanted a Whopper, but like my body didn't. I don't know.
Oh my God. Wait, I had
early?
with Birdie. So Birdie's 16 now. So this is 17 years ago. I legit never before, never since fucking sour cream on everything. And it started so quick. Like I was like, obviously I work in so much of the like abortion space and, fighting these bans and stuff and restrictions, as they like to call them now, to get around the idea that they're banning anything, but they're fucking banning it. And they're like 6 weeks before most women know they were pregnant. Well, I knew because I was craving fucking sour cream at 4 weeks. I started like, and I remember Mark looking at me and being like, what? And I'm like, I just need a side of sour cream with this. He's like, I don't think that people normally like put sour cream on cheeseburgers, but like, okay. Like I wanted it on everything. Well, I just, yes. Yeah. I just was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And then,
all this to say, it sounds like you're being like fairly thoughtful about like if you like being in control of what your body does, it sounds pretty smart to be like, I'm suspicious of this process.
Yes, that is true. Like the one thing is that you have zero control over what your body does, how it grows. I didn't know. You and I have different body types. I can tell that. I already know that. You and me, Cameron.
And like, is it? Well, you're taller than me by like a significant amount, I think.
Yeah, but you're like I have the type of body that I like retain fluid, and I can like gain and lose. This is not a joke. Ike Barinholtz and I have the same body type, and he told me what it's called because he like went to some fancy nutritionist person years ago when he was like on the Mindy Project, and it is like a body type that's called something where I can like gain and lose, no joke, like 20 pounds in a matter of like 2 weeks. Like I can go up and down. I retain so much water that like my hands are swollen. I can't get my rings on. And that can happen overnight. Like, I retained so much water with Birdie that I was going to pregnancy acupuncture, and actual water was dripping out of the needles from my body.
Oh
and
my God.
I gained 100 pounds with my pregnancy with Birdie. And then I was on Cougar Town for the second pregnancy. And I was like, well, not going to fucking do that, because losing 100 pounds. Plus I was like in my 20s when that happened. Now I'm in my like early 30s, but I just know it's going to be more difficult. So I'm really like going to keep soul cycling, going to keep hiking, going to keep like no sour cream, even if I want it, like whatever. It wasn't what I wanted with Cricket. What I wanted with Cricket is donuts, which is also not great.
I love donuts.
By the way, both kids, Birdie has always loved and put sour cream on everything. And Cricket, her favorite thing, Dunkin'. It's just her favorite thing. But anyway, so I really watched it with the second one. I even got like this pregnancy meal delivery where it's like everything you need, so you don't even have to think about food and you're not going to gain too much weight or whatever. I gained 75 fucking pounds. Still.
What was your experience like after giving birth? Like, I just mean in terms of your body, like reclaiming your body after sort of that experience.
You had to have an emergency C-section.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's different.
Yeah. It was rough. It was rough. I thought that I was dying, and I thought that I was hearing myself die. My husband was standing up by my head, and they were saying, she's so boggy, we can't stop, and I was like, I was saying, what does boggy mean? And it just meant that I was bleeding and bleeding and bleeding into like my own stomach,
wow.
and they couldn't stop me from bleeding.
Which is why actually, see, now here's my brain. The abortion pills are 2 drugs. It's mifepristone, which is why mifepristone is so important, because mifepristone stops women from bleeding out. And it is used in emergency, like after delivery emergency care.
Yeah.
But in these states that have banned the abortion pills, mifepristone in hospitals is now like classified and put behind locked doors. So if a woman is bleeding out, they can't just grab it off of the crash cart. Someone has to go down the hall and check it out. I'm just saying Casey could have died if she lived in Louisiana.
100. I mean, it's already so touch and go. I guess, Cameron, for me, the big question is, like, where's anyone going to get a maternity motorcycle jacket? Because that is your signature look. So I feel like
absolutely.
if they don't have those.
Well, I think you just leave it open, and it just gets more and more like a pashmina or whatever. Like
it's just like smaller and
your
smaller.
shoulders. Just like put it on your shoulders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally. I have so much curiosity about your 2 experiences because you're so open about it, which I love. I mean, this is, again, it's kind of weird. I'm from Chicago. I'm like from the Midwest. And then I went to school in Boston. And like people that I know from those 2 places had kids a long time ago,
right.
And I know that you both had kids a long time ago too. But I just mean to be 43 in LA is not that weird.
No, it's not unusual at all.
It's
I have
not unusual.
multiple friends that had their first at 43. And by the way, I think my sister was like 42 or 43 for her second.
Yeah.
I also have a lot of my mom was 40 when she had my little sister, which is very unusual because that's, almost 40 years ago. And but my aunts also had kids at 40 and my sister had a kid at 40. I don't know what's going on with my family's ability to
late bloomers
have children later. But anyway, my point is I know a lot of people that have or that like would be more in this age group, but I also don't think we talk about it the same way. Like when people are in their 20s or whatever, they're like celebrating it, or it's like a very I think like women or people that are going to carry they're young, they're really young, and the like support is I think matched to that. But I think when you're a little bit older, it's like you're already like a career person. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that are
I'm
having
sure
like showers with games, you know?
Yeah.
I think people who have children later probably instinctively protect it a little bit just because you don't even want to deal with anyone's reaction to it. Because I'm sure there's a fair amount of like, oh, is that safe for you to do this? Or, people are just so ignorant, and people are weirdly like open about their ignorance about pregnancy and carrying a child that I think like if it was me, if I was in my 40s, I would probably like play it as close to the vest as I could to just because you're already anxious about your own things that you're anxious about the physical process and about like what kind of parent am I going to be and what is this, how is this going to change my life? And the last thing I would want to hear is like, even when I was pregnant, when I was 26, I was like, please stop telling me your horror stories. Like, I know it's a fun story for you.
Yeah.
It's not fun for me right now with this baby inside me. So I can only imagine what it's like when you're in your 40s.
I agree with you. I would just offer that I became a mom for the first time at 29. I was 29 when I had Birdie. And I have a very close friend who has kids who were the same age and has babies. And I'm kind of jealous of moms in their 40s. I'm kind of jealous because I think, and look, bless my fucking kids. They're going to have a great time in therapy for the rest of their lives. And I do feel a little bit like, I wish I could have a kid now, because I think that a lot of the shit that I didn't have worked out in my late 20s and my early 30s, I really have worked out now, including perspective, a huge, huge perspective shift on like, Mary Oliver vibes, like this is our one wild, precious life. And I spent so much time being bogged down, not boggy, like bleeding out like Casey, but like bogged down with like feeling oppressed as the mom. And instead I feel like if I had the experience now and having diagnoses that make sense for me and having really great therapy now that has been available to me only in these last several years, I just think there's a lot of huge benefits to becoming a first-time mom in your 40s. Plus, you live longer.
Yeah.
That is a study that they did do. That's true.
Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, the other thing that is interesting for me is that and this was a fun thing to find out when I first, because I need help in this area because I'm married to a woman. And when I first was talking to, the types of places that would help with that, one thing that I found out is that they actually do not study same-sex couples. Like the stats are based on like straight people who are having a struggle with fertility, and not based on people who like have not tried. And then the other thing that's funny is that in my insurance, we technically have infertility benefits, which is very funny. It's like, well, no, there is infertility going on, and it's because we don't have sperm.
Right. So,
but that's fair, man. I mean, get the benefit from it. You know what I mean?
No, I know. I mean, it's just funny that that's what it's called. Like I don't know what it should be called, but like, it's like, it should be called Haven't Even Tried.
Haven't even tried. Couldn't possibly know. Couldn't
we
even
don't know. We don't know. That's a whole other element that's in the mix.
Isn't that interesting, though?
Yeah.
Because I think I thought that it was like more geared towards same-sex couples. I don't know why I thought that. Grey's Anatomy. I literally don't know where I got that impression, but it is not. Like, it's like there is a lot of like welcoming language, which I really appreciate, but it's a lot of like, focused on straight people. And I guess that makes sense to me, because people that might be going through like needing some help,
right,
probably have a high level of like pain and, desperation, maybe even, that they really feel like they need that like road.
Because
open for them.
when you think about it, if you should decide to do this, if you and your wife decide to do this, this will be your first try. But for like infertile straight couples, it's like the last thing that they're trying. It's the last
Totally.
possible.
They've been trying.
Yeah. Interesting,
right?
It is interesting.
Life is wild.
Life is wild.
This episode of Busy Phillips is Doing Her Best is brought to you by Wild Grain. Wild Grain, you know it, you love it, I hope. But if you don't, it's the first Bake from Frozen subscription box for artisanal breads, pastries, and pastas. Guys, we're obsessed with Wild Grain. Also, the boxes are fully customizable to your tastes and dietary restrictions. In addition to the classic variety box, they recently launched a new gluten-free box and also a new plant-based box that's 100% vegan. And it takes all the hassle out of baking because everything bakes from frozen in 25 minutes or less. No mess, no cleanup. That pasta cooks in like 4 minutes. It's the best thing ever. Cricket's
I like being
obsessed
able
with
to
the pasta.
take out one cookie, put it in the toaster
I like that
oven.
too. I bake one cookie in the toaster oven.
Yeah.
That's my vibe too. I love it. I mean, obviously, it's both of our vibes. Guys, I love the chocolate chip cookies. I love the croissants. And like I said, the pasta is a real fan favorite in my house. And then, I get the rolls too.
Oh, so good.
I like the sourdough rolls.
Yeah.
And that also is great because I can just if I want to make a sandwich for lunch, sometimes I like that.
Yeah.
So I'll just throw one of the rolls in the toaster oven. And then I have a fresh, hot, delicious bread to put my sandwich on. Let me tell you something. I feel real fancy.
It's very fancy. Oprah was right about bread. It's good.
Yes, we love bread, just like Oprah. We really do. And it's just so convenient and incredible. And I know that if Cricket wants pasta, I definitely know that she's going to get that food in her within 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Because that pasta cooks so quickly because it's fresh.
Yes.
Guys, are you ready to bring all your favorite carbs just directly to your doorstep? I think you are. For a limited time, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off the first box, plus free croissants in every box when you go to wildgrain.com/busy to start your subscription. You heard me, free croissants in every box. I just told you they were delicious. They are. And $30 off your first box when you go to wildgrain.com/busy. That's wildgrain.com/busy, or you can use the promo code busy at the checkout. Everyone loves Foria. I mean, at this point, guys, you got to know that those Foria products are incredible because the products like Awaken Arousal Oil, the Sex Oil, the Intimacy Melts, I mean, they're great if you're using them alone. They're great if you're using them with a person. They're great if you gift them to your friend and your friend uses them and then calls you and is like, oh my God, wait, those things are amazing. That Awaken Arousal Oil is the best. It's honestly, Foria is the perfect gift. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
Wedding
it
anniversaries.
Really is.
I have friends that have a wedding anniversary coming up. Guess what I got them? Guess what I got them? I did it. Awaken Arousal Oil and the Sex Oil, the pleasure set. That's what we call it. Plus the intimacy melts. Woo! Awaken Arousal Oil, just imagine the best orgasm or sex you've ever had, and then imagine it could be even better. Okay, why not? Awaken, it's like a juicy warm up. It helps you get really turned on. It increases your pleasure, deepening your orgasms, increasing your connection to your partner. Awaken uses CBD and warming, sensation-inducing organic botanicals that enhance arousal and sensitivity and access to orgasm and overall pleasure. And honestly, just turns you on, guys.
Yeah, we're not just saying this. Awaken is proven to work based on a consumer perception study. 92% of users felt more aroused, 92% reached orgasm. That's an A.
Boom. That's an A. Boom. And like I said, the sex oil lubricates during sex. and creates a juicy experience for everyone. I don't love the word juicy, but I am going to use it in this case. I just am like, Euphoria is here for you. They want you to have really good sex. They want you to have more of it. And I think that that's important. That's why they make these life-changing, all-natural, organic formulas for your most intimate needs. Guys, for the ultimate sexual experience, use multiple Euphoria products together. So yeah, you have our permission to try it. We fully endorse you to go ahead, treat yourself and your partner, experience your, I'm going to say it again, juiciest and deepest sensual experience with a bottle of Euphoria or a couple bottles of Euphoria, and maybe some other things too. Intimacy melts. You know what I mean? Euphoria is offering a special deal for our listeners. Get 20% off your first order by visiting euforiawellness.com/busy or use code busy at the checkout. That's FORIA wellness.com/busy for 20% off your first order. I definitely recommend trying Awaken or their pleasure set that has all 3 of their best sellers. You're going to thank us later.
How is your wife? How is your dog?
Wife's awesome. She's working in her office across the hall. My dog is the most gentle soul, even though every possible disaster has ever been, that's ever
I know when you
befallen.
go through that list.
Your dog and my dog have a lot. One of my dogs have a lot in common. They have like very similar, the bee sting issue,
Everything.
Yeah, everything. And then there was like 3 weekends in a row where my dog had to go to the emergency vet for the first one was bee stings, and she went into shock over a bee sting. The second thing was that she ate a live bird. We just saw her go up and eat a live bird. Which we didn't know what the consequences were for that. And then the third thing was that we think she had a nightmare that gave her a panic attack, and she also went into shock from that.
Jesus.
What?
We thought she was having a stroke.
That
Oh my
is
God.
terrible.
Yeah, that's
$1,500 for the vet to be like, she seems fine, but she did go into shock for apparently no reason. And so,
Oh my God.
Anyway, but our dogs are soulmates, maybe.
Yeah, someday you'll get a chance to meet. I don't think both my wife and my dog, and both of them are like spiritual teachers for me, because my wife is she just has like skills that I don't have. I remember the first time she told me that you can say to your therapist, I disagree with you, which I actually didn't know you could say.
Wait, by the way, I didn't know that for a long time either.
Yeah. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so she's, she really is amazing at advocating for herself. And she's very like in her own zone. And another story I'll just tell about her is that, oh my God, I literally have one burning right now. I'm like such a sucker for like bullshit, expensive candles. Like it's like kind of like a whole aesthetic that.
Who isn't?
Well, my wife, because when we first moved in together, she had a bunch of Yankee candles and I would hide them when friends would come over. And then one day she said to me like, are you hiding my candles? Because honestly, I just want you to know that I like them and I don't care how expensive they are or not. And I actually think that buying candles just because you think they look cool on a shelf is silly. And I was like, whoa. She is amazing. Like her life philosophy is something to learn from. And I do every day. And my dog,
have a
too.
Tiny tidbit for your wife.
Yeah,
I'm a huge Prince fan, and I've been to visit his home, Paisley Park, many times. And in his recording studio, which is still as it was when he left this earth, tons of Yankee candles.
What?
Obviously.
No. Prince liked Yankee candles?
Yes. Yes.
Literally, of course. You know why? Because he didn't give a fuck what anybody thought.
He didn't give a fuck. You're right.
And so
he was existing on a different plane.
Yeah.
That's what your wife is.
This is also what my dog is like in her own way, because she's been through a zillion things and she's very friendly, but also she doesn't need to interact with you. So sometimes if like somebody's trying to interact with her, she just kind of stares into the middle distance and does her own thing or walks off.
That's like a cat move.
Yes. And then if she feels comfy, she comes and like hangs out with you, but she's like not, they're both just like having their own experience of self-esteem that as somebody who chose to be in the entertainment industry, I have a lot to learn from.
Totally foreign. Oh my gosh.
I digress.
Cameron, I can't keep any television shows straight because there's 4,000 of them. Are you on a show right now?
I'm not on a show right now. I was on an ABC drama that was called A Million Little Things for a while.
No, I know you were on that. Yeah.
That show ended. Right now, I'm not on any show. I was working on 4Pills in the last year, and the next thing I'm going to do is write my next hour.
Okay.
Which is going to debut at the Steppenwolf Theater in Chicago in the fall, which is really cool theater. It's a like kind of like a
so
theater.
Wait, are you doing like see, what's his name? Casey? Berbiglia. Are you doing like a Berbiglio show kind of thing? Like our
moving
show?
in that direction.
Yeah, I think that's a vibe for you. I feel that. That feels right.
I thank you for that affirmation. I feel like it was like after this hour that felt like a kind of natural transition. And so I'm working on, I'm like just starting to write that right now. So,
well, also like I'm curious about not Million Little Pieces, not the James Frey novel.
A Million Little Things.
A Million Little Things.
Which, by the way, my mom was a huge fan of. And I know that I told you this when my mom passed away, but always a special place in my heart because I think you were, I don't know how much of a compliment this is, but I believe that you were my mom's final celebrity crush.
Oh, hell yeah. That's a huge compliment.
Casey.
That's a huge compliment. Oh, yeah.
I was curious because like in the special you do say like, I didn't consider myself an actor. I'm doing this drama.
Right.
But you are an actor. Just FYI.
I think I am an actor. Yeah.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Well, when I would
You're coming out
Canada,
to Cameron that
when I
for
would cross
Cameron
over to Canada to work and my work visa said actor, then I was like, well, I guess maybe the government thinks
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I also just digress for 2 seconds. I worked in Canada a lot, like in my 20s, and multiple times this happened to me coming through immigration. And what are you doing in Vancouver? Oh, a television show. And what do you do on the TV show? I'm an actor. Really? You are?
Come on, man.
No, I'm not fucking kidding you.
You're
It
the
happened.
hottest. Like you look exactly like an actor.
No,
Okay.
I don't. I do more. Wait, I do more now as a woman in my 40s than I did when I was in my early 20s. In my early 20s, I was like, I didn't look like Tara Reid. That was the era. So like, but I'm just saying, I didn't look like what people thought of actresses at that moment, like teen actresses at that moment, what they looked like. I did not look like that.
Well, because everyone's kind of cute when they're that age, you know. Everyone could be an actor at that age, but now you've been maintained.
Yeah, but I think that even happened. It did happen to me, like not like that long ago, where someone in immigration was like, "Yeah, are you sure? Really?"
Oh my God. Okay.
But anyway, okay. So my question was, post doing A Million Little Things, has that changed? And okay, the combination of the two, of doing A Million Little Things and the medication and the bipolar diagnosis, has that changed the way you think about your work, your personal work, and what you want to do in writing and moving forward for yourself?
Totally. I mean, I think the thing that I'll say about why I'm also prepping to do this sort of different kind of hours, that I actually don't want to be in clubs till like, for a second 9 p.m. show or 10 p.m. show. It's not great for me for long-term stability. And I started a couple years ago moving my shows earlier. Sometimes I literally will do like a 5 p.m. show. You know what? People will come. But I think that a transition to a theater space, which you can do your shows earlier and you can like have a run at a specific location.
Yeah, you're coming to New York. We're doing it at Greenwich House. I got you.
Correct.
That's it. We're there or we're at the Lortel. Cameron. I
Correct.
mean, I've got the theaters booked out. So you let me know I'm producing.
You have, come on, let's go. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to fucking go. Yeah, but that's the thing. I want to like have that chance, you know, to localize like that. And same thing with acting, you know, I will say I actually loved being on a drama. I like loved being on a drama. I think that for somebody who's funny, it's great. The pressure was so off because I got to kind of occupy that space. So, I mean, I would obviously do a different job, but if my goal is to somehow land myself back on a drama, I want to be a fireman.
Well, I was going to say also, like, let's
be
call
such a
up
great
Dick Wolf,
fireman.
because are they still shooting those things in Chicago, honey? It's a homecoming.
Yep.
You can just get a house, have that baby.
I mean,
We're going to the
more.
Field Museum on the weekends. We're at the Art Institute. We're at the Shed Aquarium. I mean, we don't love aquariums in general, but like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see that for you. Let's just manifest this shit.
Okay.
Dick Wolf. Call him up.
Hey, dun. You know what I mean? I love that guy.
Isn't Dick Wolf like the Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, Chicago as well? I think he is.
I think that's him. I'm sure you're right. Because why would that not be him?
Because I feel like they're all his. Like FBI. I have a friend who was I just had brunch with a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time. And I'm like, what are you doing in town? He's like, well, I'm one of the writers on FBI. I was like, and what is FBI? He's like, well, it's in its 7th season or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, what?
Yeah, I have a good friend who's on Chicago Med right now who was like brought in as a new doctor, I think this last season. And she's, you know, she was like a kid actor and now she's doing that job. And I think for somebody that's like brought into something where there's going to be like, she's done a lot of cool shit. And then now she's like having an experience of like stability. Right. And so I think that's a wild transition
I think that also could be your transition. I'm into it.
Let's go. I'm ready.
We just manifest this shit for
Hospital
people.
administrator. I don't know. Whatever.
No, you want something more proactive.
I need something with arm, with like a big arm focus.
That's,
you know,
because those arms are looking
biceps.
good.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, I think I'm going paramedic is where I am for you.
My mouth flung open. Yes, fine.
I see like hot.
I can't wait to actually have that training.
Hot gay paramedic.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually
on the
have
show.
That training.
I just feel like it's happening.
I can't wait to actually, because I was on, what was it? Oh my God, a fighter TV show out here in LA, and
911.
They, yeah, mm-hmm. And they had to, no, Station 19. I knew there was a 9, and they had to pull a nail out of my arm, and it's just so fun watching people who've been there for a zillion years, like just say the words, you know, like they're just like, they understand how they're supposed to say the words that they're going to pull the nail out of your arm because they've just been doing it so long that they're like, we're going to do a regional nerve block. And then you're like, you went to the acting school.
I loved it. The joke that Emily Beebe, my best friend, had about me the year that I was on ER is like, we would be in public and somebody would have some ailment. And I'd be like, wait, tell me more about it. I feel like I know what this is. I think I know what this is. And then did it cause like paralysis in parts of your, and Emily was like, she fucking legit thinks she's a doctor, you guys. Yeah. And
it's like how when you play Guitar Hero, you think you can actually play guitar for a little while after.
But literally, how could you not?
I know, you can't not. They really do, especially like on a show like ER, they took the medical stuff so seriously. And the doctors on set were like very, very, like in my downtime, I was practicing suturing, like for real.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
And this is the intersection of, you know, mental illness and neurodiversity, where it's like my ADHD and parts of your bipolar 2 intersect in that, like, that getting to lock in and like learn some whole new thing to me is the most exciting thing in the world for my ADHD.
I mean, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, even just that one experience where they had to take the nail out of my arm and I had to have like go get a fake arm made or whatever. I was just like, this is the best.
I
This
would
is
have
why I
wanted
left
to
Chicago.
keep the fake arm. Did they offer to let you keep it?
Well, you know what? They didn't end up using it. I have like the nail that was in my arm over here, but they didn't end up using it. But I mean, we could like listen if you want to cap around an episode. This is what happened. I went into the like special effects house to get cast, like a cast on my arm, so that they could make a fake arm. And the guy sits me down and he's like, like I wear like a tank top. And he's like staring at me for a while, and then he like opens the door to where I'm sitting in the chair, and he like screams out to his assistant, like, Francis, or whatever the guy's name is, bring me Emily Blunt's arm.
Shut the fuck up.
And then Emily Blunt's arm came in, and he like held it up to my arm. He took a bunch of pictures, and he was like, we don't even have to do this. Go home. I'll just use this arm.
You have blunt arms?
Listen to me. Listen. I really hope I don't die anytime soon, but if I do, at least that's happened to me.
Yes.
Like that's whose arm could be better?
Oh,
bring me Madonna's arm from the 80s. Like that's the only, or
90s.
Like bring me Angela. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring me Angela Bassett's arms from How Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yes.
Like I know Emily Blunt's arm I couldn't believe it.
That's perfect.
And then I just kind of played it cool.
Yeah, of course, obviously.
You know?
Why would you?
I would have.
Yeah,
he's like,
I would have gotten
I'm like,
Angela
Emily's arm?
Lansbury's
Fine,
arm.
I've used it before. Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
I would have had Angela Lansbury's arm retrieved from the closet.
she's a dead ringer for Lansbury.
I was gonna say, but is that like a teapot arm? Like a
Yeah,
little-
probably.
Like a spout?
Yes, yeah. Oh my gosh. I hope you get to meet Emily Blunt and compare arms.
Yeah,
When I meet her, not if.
When.
I can't
Yeah.
wait to-
When.
I
That
can't
would be
wait to
so
run through
exciting.
the whole, like, actually, that's not true. When you meet somebody that you care about, you have to just basically not even look at them. Just to, but otherwise you're going to freak out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Complimentary, but then keep it moving.
Yes.
okay, back to birth.
Okay.
I had a natural, because this ties in. I had a natural birth, no drugs, which is a brag, but also not a brag because I don't give a fuck. Like at the time, I thought it was something that was very needed for me to do. I'm older now and I understand where that came from in my brain. Get an epidural if you'd like an epidural. My point is, I had no drugs and I had it was rough and hard. And Birdie was 9 pounds, 7 ounces and 22 inches long. And I pushed for 3 hours. And I hadn't slept because everyone always goes into labor like in the middle of the night because you're most relaxed. And I had gone into labor. I had fallen asleep and an hour later woke up fully in labor. So I hadn't slept, been pushing for almost 3 hours. At the end of the pushing, I was having full-on hallucinations. I have done lots of drugs in my life, hallucinogenics, and had before this. So I know what a full-blown fucking hallucination is. And I was having full-blown hallucinations. One of which was because my ex-husband Mark and I had just watched the entire first season of Mad Men and had started the second season, which had just started airing. One of which was that I came to and was in the boardroom with Don Draper and Pete Campbell.
Uh-huh.
And they were talking about me and saying that I wasn't going to be able to do it. And I sort of Don Draper looked at Pete Campbell and took a drag of the cigarette and he goes, "She can do it, Campbell. She's going to do it." And I came to and I was like, I can do it, Don Draper. Don Draper is right. I can do it. And Mark's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, "Don Draper said I can do it. I can fucking do it." And I pushed that goddamn baby out. Cut to 4.5 months later, 5 months later, one of my first outings, because I was it was a whole thing having a baby when I had, and the way that it took its toll on my life and myself. One of my first outings was a party at a friend's house. And who is fucking there but John Hamm, who had been on a TV show before in Mad Men with my friend whose party it was. John Hamm is there. I've never met the man. I decide in my postpartum, still breastfeeding, leaking milk, 90 pounds overweight version of my body and self. This is the moment I'm going to tell John Hamm this story at this party. Cameron, it did not go great. It did not go great at all.
Did you get any sort of response?
Huh.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay. Huh.
So
okay.
this is why my wife is a spiritual teacher. I'm just going to say this. First time I ever took her to like any party in the entertainment industry. And she's a book editor. So she used to work at William Morris as an agent. So she's like been around people, but she doesn't care.
Right.
Which is an amazing vibe. And I took her to a party and we walked in the door and the first person that was standing there was John Hamm. And she went, and I was like, oh God, oh no. Like she doesn't know how to behave. But then it was a Christmas party. And behind John Hamm was like a life-size tree made out of cookies. And so she went like, cookies.
About the cookies.
And John, to John Hamm's face, which I feel like is like, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
What a.
She didn't even see him. She only saw the cookies.
She didn't even see him.
No. I love her.
Now I want to make her a life-size tree of cookies every year.
Awesome. Yeah. Totally.
Wow.
She deserves it.
All right, you two. Well, I'll see you when you produce my show in New York.
I'm in.
Yeah, for real.
Can't
Cameron,
wait.
Hell yeah.
You're just one of my favorite comedians, one of my favorite people. I love to see you in real life because...
Is it because you wear cool clothes?
Well, by the way, like I already outed my mom's crush on you, but I think also like you're a somewhat of a style icon to my husband because whenever we see you in real life, the talk of the night, which I love, I'm not mad about it, is like how great you looked and how amazing what you were wearing was. And how can he get his hands on that outfit? So, you know.
I'm happy to send it along. Like an interpersonal, one of those things where they deliver stuff for a red carpet. Anyway.
But you're such a delight. You're a great comedian, but you're also just a really great person.
Well, that
Agreed.
is very nice. And I loved talking to you both. And this is like, I mean, it's actually 9 a.m. out here, or it was when we started.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, now I can just relax in the rest of my day because the pinnacle has already happened.
Oh,
Because like the best part was already achieved. So just honestly, go to bed for the night.
And it's 1:11, and we've been recording for 1:11.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, what? Okay, fine.
Let's
Life
take
is magical.
I like
Taste
it.
Everybody, check out 4
love you
Pills
both.
on Dropout TV.
Love you too. Yes.
And check out everything Cameron does.
And look out for her on a medical paramedic
Absolutely. Can't wait to
show
do that.
coming soon. All the things. Okay, bye, Cameron.
Cameron, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hiya. It's the best.
I like that one.
Me too. Guys, kids need vitamins. I'm just going to tell you that. They need vitamins for a lot of reasons.
They really do.
They really do. But typical children's vitamins are just chock full of sugar, and they're basically candy in disguise, and they will just destroy your children's teeth and give them cavities and bum you out. I'm sorry. That's just what happens. And that is why Hiya was created. The pediatrician-approved, super-powered, chewable vitamin is made with 0 sugar, 0 gummy junk, but, and this is the most important part, it does taste great, and it's perfect for picky eaters. Even picky eaters like it. Hiya fills in the most common gaps in modern children's diets and provides the full-body nourishment our kids need with a very yummy taste that they love. It's formulated with the help of nutritional experts. Hiya is pressed with a blend of 12 organic fruits and veggies, Then it's supercharged with 15 essential vitamins and minerals, including vitamins D, B12, C, zinc, folate, and many others to help support immunity, energy, brain function, mood, concentration, teeth, bones, and more. It's non-GMO, it's vegan, dairy-free, allergy-free, gelatin-free, nut-free, and everything else you can imagine. Hiya is designed for kids of all ages. Sometimes I eat them. And it is sent straight to your door, so you, as a parent, have one less thing to worry about. Guys, we love it. It's a little reusable bottle, which also trying to eliminate waste or single-use plastic. No need in this case. The packaging is very minimal. It arrives straight to your door. You just put those vitamins right on into the reusable little bottle that you already have, that they've decorated with stickers that come with your first order. Anyway, highly recommend trying it. Let's just keep our kids happy and healthy. We've worked out a special deal with Hiya for their best-selling children's vitamin. Receive 50% off your first order. To claim this deal, you got to go to hiyahealth.com/busy. This deal is not available on their regular website. Go to hiyahealth.com/busy and get your kids the full body nourishment they need to grow into healthy adults.
Love Cameron. So happy that Cameron was able to come on and talk with us about. It's such a great special. I'm so glad we both got to see it because I'd been watching clips and I was actually going to go to the taping of it, but I had to be in New York, so I didn't get to. But it's a really good one. I'm not in the business of recommending stand-up comedy specials willy-nilly because I feel like everybody's tastes are very different, but this is one that I highly, highly recommend. How are you?
I'm good. Just, it's all happening. We've been working. I have a lot of travel and a lot. It's just like one of those things where you go through these periods of time and it's just fucking nothing. Just crickets.
Yeah.
And then everything all at once.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, actually, here are 47 things. They're all on the same day.
Right.
I feel like you can do that, right? You can figure that out, right? And I know you and I've talked about but this is the whole issue. Okay, I didn't finish the sentence. I know you and I have talked about me being more selective but this is the whole issue, which is it's feast or famine. And also so many things intersect. So it's you want to show up for the thing because that person that's going to be doing that thing might be a person that you want to come on
your thing
and do your thing. And so then you do that.
Yeah.
And then, it's just all, so I'm trying to juggle a bunch of stuff. And then you and I have been caught in the crosshairs.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard when you're working with multiple entities. And I always say it's so difficult because I always like to say it's better to have more information than no information at all. But sometimes even you have to be careful when you say that because then sometimes people take it as I'm going to give you all of the information and it's a fire hose of information. But that's a vibe thing. That's an instinct thing, And then I always want your inbox to be spared from things when we're working on something together. But then,
sometimes when that happens,
right,
situations arise where it's wait, guys, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And that's anything, I'm working on this other smaller thing right now and I'm barely doing anything on it. I'm more of an advisory role and they are not sparing my inbox at all. The reason I'm in an advisory role on this thing is because I have to focus on this project that I'm doing with you. So my phone is blowing up constantly and I'm I don't need to know that, but okay.
But okay.
It's,
okay. I mean, and then I had to spend so long yesterday dealing with these women in space and
just
really
dealing
had
with your feelings about women in space.
Well, I just had to I did have to just go. Yeah, I was like really like, what is happening? Like I was so confused by so much of yesterday's events. But then I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, my main thought about it was, and I don't know if she would have done it, but I said on Threads or whatever, who cares? I just was like, if any celebrity woman was sent to space, I feel like it should have been Gillian Jacobs, our friend Gillian Jacobs, because she is a real STEM fan. She knows more about space ladies than anyone I know. And I think she really could have brought something to that mission. But I don't know if she would have agreed to do it. But I'm just like, that's who I would send to space, Gillian Jacobs.
Yeah, except I don't know. Again, we sort of talked about it with Cameron. It's not really accurate to be we went to space. I mean, I guess yes, they left the app. It would be more accurate to be we're leaving the atmosphere.
Yeah. Space is very non-specific. You know what I mean? It doesn't.
But I think when you say I'm going to space, the implication is that you're going to space and you're going to do some shit.
You're going to walk around on something and do.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to be at the station.
Yeah.
You're
not
not
look at Earth, then immediately come back down. And the whole thing takes 11 minutes.
11 minutes? I'm just saying 11 minutes. Again, it's just an extended Disneyland ride.
Exactly. Yeah, I get that.
And
I get that.
But for billionaires. And
yes.
I don't know. I feel like I spent more time in space when I did that Olay Super Bowl commercial. Because that was very intense.
Yeah,
and
you
I
were
had
up on a harness for a long time.
Up on that harney.
Yeah.
Wait, you know the funniest part about that? Just real fast.
Yes. What?
I feel like I told you this. It was we had the actual NASA outfits, okay, for this commercial.
Yeah.
Lily Singh and I, but in space. They put us in the suits. They're and then the harness, and they're it was almost the end of the day we were shooting this part, the harnesses. And the harnesses are so fucking uncomfortable. And they pull you all the way up into the air in a giant soundstage. And we have our helmets on, which also are really uncomfortable. Everything is really uncomfortable.
Yeah,
and
talk about claustrophobia.
Yeah, and I'm claustrophobic. And then they're oh yeah, it doesn't make sense. You're gonna have to put the shield down. We put the shield down, and I'm like, can they fucking see our faces?
Can they hear us?
Wait, they can't even see our fucking faces? Why am I doing this?
Could have been anyone.
Why isn't a stunt person doing this?
Could have been a mannequin.
Honey, it could have been fucking anyone. You could have been in there. Nothing would have mattered. I mean, that was, for me,
yeah,
a real moment where I was I can't.
This is
really
where
can't.
I hardly ever advocate for myself to be brought along on things, but that is how my brain works. I can tell you 2 specific examples from my career. I would have spotted that in a second and been get Busy Phillips and Lily Singh down and swap them out because their faces aren't shown. 2 things in my career. 1, David Letterman, when I worked for him, I'm sure I've told this story before. It was not communicated to him that he had a post-show photo shoot on the stage for a magazine. He had already switched into his what we called play clothes, sweatpants and a t-shirt and sneakers. And when he got downstairs, someone was like, you have to go back up and get into your suit for this photo shoot. And he was understandably annoyed because he had already punched out for the day. And no one told him. And had anyone told him, he would have just stayed in his suit. And so he was like, I can't believe I have to go back upstairs and change into my suit again. And I said, wait, are you taking pictures at your desk? And he said, yes. And I said, then you only have to put your jacket, shirt, and tie on. You can leave your sneakers and sweatpants on because they won't show. And he said, you go to my business manager on Monday and tell him that I said to give you a raise for thinking of that. So that was
but
one,
also, by the way, yes. Like,
Yes.
that is 100% raise worthy.
Yes.
Yes.
And then the second time was that we were doing the Rosie O'Donnell show from Disney World in Florida. And we had all the costumed characters. They had cleared all the costumed characters and they wanted to do a musical production number with Rosie. The only thing was, on the day that they were all available and that we were able to book the park, there had been a miscommunication and someone had booked her into doing something else. And she was like, I have like a half hour tops to do this. You're not doing a full musical production number that goes to various locations in the park. You're not in a half hour. It takes a full day. And so everybody was like, well, like, we already spent all this money. This thing that Rosie has to do is immovable, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, here's my idea. The villains capture Rosie in the first minute of the production number. They shove her into a sack and then they try to hide her throughout the park for the rest of the day. And then she's rescued by the heroes in the last minute and they free her from the sack. So we shot all day with just some other person in a sack, but Rosie's part took like 15 minutes.
But honestly, also, though, bless that it didn't have to be you in the sack.
Oh my God, thank God. Yes. I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have made it.
That's really funny.
But that's
really
like,
fucking
that's
funny.
really where I shine is how to get the talent out of doing something that they don't need to be doing.
Oh my God, yes. Well, I wish you'd been there. That was in 2019.
Can't go back, but lessons learned.
We can't go back. Lessons learned. I'm not interested in a ride in a billionaire's playground ride to space. I'm not interested in it personally.
It just seemed uncomfortable. Gail looked scared. She didn't look less scared when it was all over. I was like, they're gonna barf into their own extensions. You know, like I
think there's a certain element of like this, we're at a really interesting place culturally.
Yeah.
In terms of, it feels like a tipping point, and it feels like that the have-haves, the big haves, don't fucking get it. It's like, read the room, guys.
I guess you could say that like it's being done for the sake of like progress, like some new frontier, and like how easy it is to just send regular people up into space. But if that's the case, like, maybe more scientists, more,
But
like,
that, again, I'm saying to you, like, what? But to what end? Like, what's the...
Well, when you're sending celebrities into space, it is giving kind of like, we're figuring out a way for us to get out of here. Like that's
but
how I
also
feel
am just like,
standing.
I do get that.
Yeah.
But I also am like, but could we use these resources and this money and the attention to figure out how to stay here and fix it? Or I mean, I'm not even fucking kidding you. Or like, do they know something that we don't know?
Right.
Not fucking Katy Perry, guys. I mean, she doesn't know anything that we don't know. But I'm just saying, saying like like the powers that these billionaires, like, is there...
Well, I think in the case of Jeff Bezos, I think what he knows that we also know is that he's going to keep doing the business that he's doing, knowing that it depletes the earth. He has no plans to curb that or stop it. And
yeah, you're right.
You know?
Right. He's like, my commitment is to destroying the earth. Ergo, I got to find a fucking way off of this planet because
right.
I'm going to destroy it. So,
and I think a lot of these folks, like, they would say that that's oversimplifying. And I would say that, like, I think a lot of people are fairly passive about, like, I think a lot of, when we're talking about boycotts or protests, a lot of people are very passive. And it's because, like, these people that we're supposed to look up to, these, like, business leaders and political leaders, like that's the message that we've gotten. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. It will have so little effect. But we know that's not true. We know that businesses could choose to reinvest in communities and the planet and our country. They choose not to. And then we tell ourselves like, oh, shit, I need paper towels though. It's very complicated. And I'm one of those dumb shits that always boycotts everything. Like I have boycotts going from like when I was a little kid, like that my grandparents were boycotting, and I don't even know what they're fucking for anymore. So I tend to really go all in and like try to do those things. And I know it's not doing much. It's just like, it's what I can do. But it's very complicated, and it's hard not to oversimplify things when you're like, gosh, remember when like someone figured out the exact dollar amount that it would take to end like world hunger, and Elon Musk was like, I'll do it. But then he just changed his mind that he didn't want to do it. And so he didn't.
Yeah, I do.
And it's just like, he could be like a hero of the world right now, But it's like, even in our fiction, look at how fucking low the bar has been. Like, everybody loves Annie and Daddy Warbucks, His name is literally Daddy Warbucks because I'm assuming he made his money from war. And like, all it took for him to be a hero was to like adopt one girl. Like, what? What? He just like, oh, he grew a heart, It's, I don't know. And it's so weird because we're such a pop culture nation, and so much of our pop culture is like your Marvel movies and your Star Warses and, and those are all heroic allegories about like taking down regimes that are oppressive and that would oppress all of us and take away our freedoms and take away democracy. And like, everybody loves those movies. And then I'm like, but you don't know that you're like Darth Vader's intern? Like,
that's the thing, right? I know. I always think about that.
It's
I'm like,
so
you guys,
weird.
you're on the wrong team.
Right.
Like, how do you not know that?
Right. And I'm like, who is like watching, Spider-Man and rooting for Doc Ock? But I guess, I don't know. I mean, I like Doc Ock as a character, and I, love Alfred Molina as an actor, but, he's not the hero of that story. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know. Like, I had this thing, when Cory Booker was doing that thing that technically wasn't a filibuster. It was, it wasn't a filibuster because there was no bill on the floor to be voted on. But it was the longest time that anyone, he broke a record for holding the floor. And like, I said this thing online where so many people were like, oh, I always used to think Cory Booker was so cringe, but now I see like how his cringiness.
Yeah, we like talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of works in this case. And I'm like, all of this shit, like it is performative in a way. Like, politics is theater. Political theater is something that's been a phrase that we've always had. And like, I think we're, you're talking about a tipping point. And I think this is part of the tipping point where like the curtain is kind of drawn back and everyone can make theater about everything. Right. Now. Everybody has access to their phone and everyone can go viral. And so it's a lot different than when we're just hearing about these things like by reading about it in the newspaper. Like, even TV didn't used to be live. It used to have to be like a newsreel that was like developed and rolled into the 6 o'clock news. So people didn't have access to like instant information. And so like the theater part has had to grow sort of to be like 24/7, and it is all performative. It is in a way like, for lack of a better word, entertainment, I guess, for people, for the, bread and circuses, as they say, for the masses. But, we also have this like cynicism about all of it too, where we're like, is this actually doing anything? And, like really questioning it. And it's a very confusing time because we're presented with so many things. Like there's information, there's misinformation, there's the theatrics, there's public sentiment, and like the other team, they never question their side the way that we constantly question our side. And I'm not saying that it's wrong to question our side, like, to hold people's feet to the fire. I do think that our side makes the mistake of questioning at the wrong time every time. Like we always question when it's kind of critical to be like amassing support for something, which, I understand, but I'm also, it's like kind of how when I expressed concern about like cutting Joe Biden loose and Kamala running, it was about like, well, this is a scary time to do this. But it was like all this public opinion coalesced around Joe Biden not being capable of running, and like Kamala Harris had to mount a campaign in 90 days, less than 100 days. And, if her runway had been a little longer, we're always talking about women in their runways, and how women are.
Right. How long does the runway need to be? Do you know what I'm saying?
Right. So it's just like, it's a really, really wild and scary time. And I just feel like this is just what I'm repeating. Like, I'm not trying to fight with anyone who basically thinks the same thing that I think right now, which is like what we always do. We're always like punching the person in the arm who's next to us. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking the bait. I want to talk about the issue at hand, which is what's being done by the people who are doing it. And so like, I'm not trying to talk about like, oh, someone's cringy or, like, I don't like the way they did what. I'm not trying to talk about that. I want to just talk about, yes, what can be done? What can we do? And do we need to send celebrities to space? I feel like no. I feel like that made me feel like they're practicing leaving Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it made me feel like too. But also that it just was like a monumental waste of money.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. That too. But I guess, I don't know. Should we like feel better that we saw the waste of money? Because I'm sure equal wastes of money happen secretly all the time. And with more nefarious purposes. I honestly don't know how to feel about it,
Yeah, I kind of don't either.
And then I get bogged down in the minutia. I'm like, I'm sure they originally invited Oprah, and she was like, I'm not going to space. Maybe Gail will do it. And then they were like, if we invite Gail, maybe Oprah will come see Gail land, And then I'm like, what is this? What is it all for? What's it for, though? I would like to ask Gail about it. I would like to hear from her because she did look like she didn't enjoy it. So I would like to hear. And I did appreciate hearing from William Shatner that he found it incredibly sad when he did it.
Wait, William Shatner did it?
Yeah, he did it like a couple of years ago, right?
He thought it was sad?
Yeah, he said that like he thought that he would be filled with awe looking out.
Oh, but it just made him sad.
Yeah, looking at Earth from space, and it just made him.
Wait, that feels very real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
And I'm not the hugest William Shatner fan in the world.
I don't know enough about him, but okay.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like I'm not a William Shatner stan. I've met him once or twice. But I thought that was very honest, and and I'm glad that he was honest. I'm glad that he didn't feel obligated to be like, it was the most incredible experience of my life. And, I thought it was interesting that he said, oh, it was sad, actually.
Huh. I think it's interesting, too.
Yeah. I also am the kind of person that like, I'm curious how you would feel, but I have been talking to Matt a lot about this, about how he's like, why don't you go work in a park or whatever if it's like a sunny day? And I'm like, I'm the kind of person that goes to a park and I'm like, this is nice. And then like a minute later, I'm like, okay, what now? Like, and I'm like, I wonder if I would be in a space shuttle in space and look at Earth and be like, that's cool. What now? Like, I don't know that I would have like a big reaction to it.
I don't, I said yesterday, I really feel like things have become just like unmoored.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because I don't know what you're consuming. I mean, I can guess, like, we're trying to watch some TV shows and we're trying to like consume some theater, maybe some art. But then like all of the social media, like as soon as the algorithm thinks it knows what you need to or want to see, then, then my feed is just like a bunch of people who are like, you need to leave the country immediately, And I'm like, do I? Do you? Do we? Do I? I don't know. And it's just, I don't know, because we've never been here before.
No, we've never been here before. I don't know.
And we can draw comparisons to other countries and other times. We definitely can, but it is not the same country and it's not the same time. And there are extenuating factors that are very different. So even, I have one friend who's a history professor who I consider like, he's one of the smartest people that I know. And so like I've been watching really closely what he says every day. But, I think he'd be the first person to be like, don't hang on every word that I say. I'm just saying my thoughts. It's not an instruction manual, certainly. So it's hard. And then, and we have kids. And so we're thinking about them too,
Always.
Everybody. So it's a weird time. I know that all of you listening are probably feeling weird too. And like weird seeing like these, kind of cool spectacles, but like, is it cool? I don't know. And then, Coachella looked so fun. And I'm just like, everyone was at Coachella and I'm like, it looked so fun. Is it the last Coachella? I don't know. And I'm saying it looked fun while also fully knowing that in the best of times, I would never fucking go to Coachella because I am not meant to stand in the desert and watch anything,
I mean, I, historically speaking, have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think it so is for some people. It so is for some people. But I know for me, never going to Burning Man, never going to Coachella. Wouldn't even go to a little Lollapalooza, a little one-day Lollapalooza if they brought it back.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Why not?
I don't know. I just like...
Well, like, who would it take to get you there? And don't say Prince.
I will go see a show, but I love going to see shows that are performed by old people because I know they're like, I'm old, 90 minutes is what you get, and then I'm fucking out of here, Like, I like to know that there's an end in sight and that they're going to play, like, the 15 songs that I love, and that's it, and it's not going to go. Even Prince, I would say, like, I never got to see him a great deal live, but I bet I would have panicked had I been, like, because he was, like, a real jam band kind of guy, and I would have been like, dude, I love you, but I got to get out of here. I just can't hear you jamming for a half hour on this song.
This is why I like festivals. Can I tell you?
Yeah.
So to me, festivals are perfect because of ADHD.
Yeah.
Because I like a lot of different music.
Yeah.
And here's what bands and performers have to do at festivals. Play the hits.
Yes.
And get the fuck out.
True.
They have short sets. The sets are like, almost all of their sets are like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. the big acts get like, their full amount of time, but not even, I don't think they do their full shows.
Yeah.
I mean, unless Beyonce, the headliners maybe do.
Right.
All I'm saying is that for me, it's like you go watch a band, you see your 3 fucking favorite songs, you're like, I'm good. Bye.
Right.
And then you get to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And for me, who grew up in the fucking desert anyway, and I'm a lizard. I'm just
You're
a
acclimated.
heat-seeking little lizard. I'm happy. I love it. It's like my favorite thing in the world. Now, I'm not going at this point in my life. And that's honestly just logistical. Like, I think I would have maybe considered going this year because there are enough bands that I want to see.
It did look amazing.
Yeah, it looked great. And Mark is going next weekend.
Okay.
So excited for him. I'll be not there. I'll be with our children.
Yeah.
I'll be with our children. No, but I will be with our children and my family in Arizona because I'm going to do the Planned Parenthood luncheon in Arizona. And I'm happy for him to go, but maybe I'll go next year.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a festival like in Europe.
Maybe. I'm like, you know what I would go see? I would go see, you know how they sometimes have like, it's not quite a festival, but it's also not quite just like a one band show. Like sometimes they put together like 4 throwback acts or,
Well, that they are festivals, but like also there's like ones that are, now it's like, oh my God, the actress, the singer, I can never remember her name, but Brandy Carlisle. Like Brandy Carlisle puts together one and it's like, 5 incredible female artists. Sarah Bareilles has done it before. Like there's like all these different kinds of things, I don't know. I just think like,
I would maybe go to that, but it would also be so heavily dependent on the climate of the place. If there was chairs, shit like that. Is there chairs years old?
Well, yeah. I mean, also same. Like I need to sit, like I'm definitely going to sit. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But also I really, I haven't notoriously been like a real live music kind of person, which is funny because like my dad played live music when I was a kid and Matt was in a band in college and I love and support everyone that plays live music, but I would much rather like hang out backstage and just peek out onto the stage for 2 minutes and be like, that looks like it's going good. Great. I don't know why I'm not. It's the same as I'm just saying. I would look at Earth from space and be like, okay, cool. Great.
Well, I have to say I am kind of excited to go to Arizona.
Are you?
Yeah, which I don't really like get. I don't know. I don't really get excited to go to Arizona.
Well, you've been there many times.
I know. Well, the thing is, I'm really excited that it's like going to be like 85 degrees there.
Oh, yeah, because it has been very London-y around here.
Yes, these
in
parts
New
have been
York.
real London-y. Although today is supposed to be beautiful, but it's like overcast and weird. I don't know. Just hasn't been. I need some sunshine. I need some natural vitamin D up in my life.
Yeah.
I also definitely need a bikini wax. And honestly, one of my favorite bikini waxes is in Scottsdale. So
Oh, all right.
I should actually just make that appointment. Just get that going for myself. I really love
leave
that
your
girl.
pubes in Arizona.
Yeah. Bye. Wait, were you there when people were talking about getting lasered? Yeah, you were.
Yes.
You're a proponent.
Yes, I have. Well, I was saying that I did get laser hair removal when I was much younger. And while I'm not a hairless person, most of my hair in my like armpits and on my legs is clear now. So it's still hairy. It's still there, but it doesn't look like when I had dark hair.
My hair, I have blonde hair.
Yeah.
Like I am like truly blonde.
Yeah.
But I don't know. The lasers feel weird. I don't know. But whatever.
I don't know how well it would even work on you if you have
Well,
blonde.
no, like
Yeah.
I feel like I could do my bikini.
Okay.
I feel like it's dark enough.
Yeah.
I was just saying like my legs and my arms, like there's never been a need.
Probably no go, yeah. And
I I mean, I don't even have to shave really. I like don't shave for long periods of time and you can't tell on my legs. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. I'm feeling bad about this is the second week in a row that I'm doing the podcast in that little booth in our office because it is soundproof. And the rest of the office is very echoey, but the lighting in here is so terrible.
Yeah.
It's so terrible.
Yeah, it's
and
not
I will
great.
say that like I'm not the most vain person in the world, but one thing that I never ever do is allow my photo to be taken in bad lighting. And it's almost like they had a manual about what would be the worst possible.
I think we got to get you I think we got to put like a little ring light in there.
It's like,
if you do
I don't
it again.
I don't know.
No, we need just like a ring light. It's like a ring light will solve this issue for you.
Anyone who takes a picture with me knows that, and I'm not super great about knowing like where I should put the sun or whatever when I'm taking a picture. So anyone who ever takes a picture with me knows that I face north, east, south, west, and to see like which light I look the best in. But it wouldn't matter in this booth. It's a tragedy.
Should I tell people what my close friend's Instagram has been the last week?
Yes. Well, I think we should try to get my fave guy on the podcast.
I don't know which one is your fave, but there's so many now.
Dr. Truesdale.
Okay. Guys, basically, I think that algorithmically something happened because maybe they know that I'm going to turn 46 this year. I don't fucking know. My entire Instagram feed, like, explore page, but also just while I'm scrolling, you know how they like just put in people that you don't follow on Instagram? Yeah. My scrolls have become like 100% crazy facelift before and afters, the likes of which defy logic, seem totally like some of them. I'm like, this is AI. It's not the same person. Like, I don't even understand what's going on. Some of them, definitely the same person. But I have been sharing them on my close friends' Instagram because, like, honestly, there's too many people that follow me on Instagram and I can't, like, it's not the right message to send out to the Gen Pop, especially if you, like, don't know me and don't know my sense of, like, morbid curiosity and also, like, question mark, maybe? I don't know. Maybe I'm doing it.
Well, you're very curious about it, but it's also something that like people have such strong feelings about, and you don't need to take on every person's feelings.
No, I do not need to take on every person's feelings about it, which is like I'm sharing it with you guys, our podcast listeners. But I will say I post on close friends certain things that I don't share, with the Gen Pop.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot of you know, like, any pictures of cricket, generally speaking. Like, if I ever share a picture of cricket on social media, it's only for the close friends.
Yeah.
That's just a given, per her requests and per her honored requests. There's, like, sometimes, like, if it's, like, maybe a little snarky news article or something, like, maybe that is a thing I would share on close friends. But these facelifts have taken over my feed and like have been making me laugh so fucking hard because I also am just like, now it's warping my brain. And I think this is what happens. Because now I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I have lost density in my cheeks and I've lost this thing and then this thing. But you know what I fucking did this morning?
What'd you do?
I went back 5 years. Well, I actually went back to 2019.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at so many selfies of myself and videos. Yeah. And guess what?
What?
My face looks basically the fucking same. I'm not even kidding you. Like, when I'm like, oh, I've lost so much volume. I mean, I did gain and lose weight in the last 5 years. Like, I gained weight when we moved to New York and I got super, depresso. Like, after Mark and I split up.
Yeah.
There's a period of time. Also coinciding with season 2 of Girls 5 Eva.
Yeah.
So I had like gained, like, for me, and I like stopped working out.
Yeah.
It was a lot. Like, for me, it was like kind of substantial.
It was a life change.
Yes. And so I gained weight in that moment. And then I lost that weight like a year later or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have like gained and lost weight in these last 5 years. And I certainly was like, and I know obviously I'm older. And so I was like, I guess like I really need, this is just what's happening, da 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 da. And then I look at all these pictures from 2019 from when we were doing Busy Tonight. And honestly, my cheeks have always been kind of like, since I became a mom the second time and breastfed and then worked out all that, like I just don't have that much fat in my face.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Yeah. I think, well, I read that thing about when you go through like bursts of aging.
Yes,
you know?
I did too. But I don't think I went through that burst of aging at 44, 45.
Well, it's probably different. You know, it's probably just an average. Like maybe yours will happen when you're 47. But I will say that I have noticed, for me, I
literally thought you were about to talk about my face. And I was like, wow.
No.
This is going to be amazing. Tell me. Lay it on me. I need the truth.
No, I think, well, you're always going to look the same to me as the day that I met you. You know what I mean? It's like how, you know.
Do you think so? I think you look younger than the day I met you, which you do.
Probably.
Because you were really sick.
I was pretty sick when
you were really sick when we
yeah.
met. But like also like I feel like you look younger now than you did in 2019.
That's so nice. I think it'll be like, I think I'll always feel like you look the same. And it's like when I worked in the nursing home, like married couples, the husband would always say that like, that their wife looked exactly the same to them or whatever, that just forever and ever. So I think I'll always see you that way. Even though I might be able to evaluate someone else that I didn't know, like more, I work in TV. So I look at faces. That's part of like what I do is looking at faces and thinking about what they work for and how they work in a visual medium. But I think I'll always see the face of the person that I first met. That being said, when menopause does really happen, I do think there are some changes. And I'll be very frank with what I'm seeing in myself. I think I have very good skin. My skin isn't very wrinkly, and I'm really lucky. My grandmother's skin never got wrinkly, and she lived into her 70s. My mom was a sun worshiper, so she did get wrinkles, and a smoker, so she did get wrinkles. I avoid the sun. I've never smoked anything in my life. But what I am seeing is like under my eyes, a thing is happening that I just never envisioned happening. And I'm very upset about that. And I would like to get something done about it. It's just like everything just gave up the ghost, Like I used to have very smooth under eyes. And I wouldn't even say it's like crepey. It's just like poochy, like a blister or whatever under there. Whatever. And then like my nose is getting a little thicker, which is shocking to me.
That also happens when people are pregnant sometimes. So hormonally, that makes sense to me.
Yes. Because
I've seen, the pregnancy nose spread, which has happened to people I've known.
Yeah. Whoa. So, and I've always had like a really small nose, and now it's just getting like a little thicker. And so I've also read a lot about how like HRT can kind of help with those things. Like, not change it, not reverse it, not fix it. I don't think I need to be fixed, but like HRT can help with some of those things. And I am on some hormones. So, but I think there are other ones like yet to be explored. So I might do that. But also like I would get a laser. I would get a laser under them eyes. And, and I have spoken about, like, I have gotten, not in a long time, but I have gotten in my, like, alongside, what are those, marionette lines or whatever?
Yeah, but I told you, I'm going to get I will fucking do one of those things. I will document it for everybody. You and I should do it. We should schedule it for right after we finish the show.
All right.
I'm going to get the CO2 laser under my eyes because I had a friend that did it and it looks
great.
My fucking God, it looks so good.
Amazing.
I will say it was like, you can have anesthesia.
Yeah.
Or if you do your full face, I think you have to have anesthesia.
Yeah. Or like
if you-
laughing gas sometimes. I
But
think.
if you do just your eyes, they
Yeah.
can do like topical and then like laughing gas or like a sedative.
Yeah.
Like some, I don't know, like Valium or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm just going to do my eyes for it.
Yeah. You can, I
'Cause
mean,
I don't think my skin needs to be resurfaced.
no, everything looks
But-
great.
Yeah, I think my skin looks great, but I'm definitely going to do it. Now that I've seen like a friend who did it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And she said it's just like, they tell you 10 days, but it was really just a week. And also, guys, if you never want to do anything, I support it.
You don't have to. Like, I always think it's so interesting when, especially people who are performers, actors, are like, I don't want to do a thing to my face because they're really just into like, you know, using that as like part of their performance. Love that for them. And I love that they see their career so clearly that they're like, oh, this is going to be great for my career. But that being said, like, you know, obviously also I loved Joan Rivers, who was like, you know, very open about everything that she ever had done. And I loved that for her. You know, I loved that. I think, you know, people were brutal to her, and they were brutal to her before she ever did anything. And then they were brutal to her every step along the way that she did anything. And I think she was always beautiful. And, you know, so no judgment to what anyone wants to do. But I do think like some hormones and some lasers, that's where I would rather this country invest money for me instead of sending anyone to space. Like if we have, you know, if we have free money.
Honey, I'm with you. I'm really deeply with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. Well, what are you doing your best at this week?
I'm trying to like do my best at keeping cool in the face of a lot of fuckery.
Yeah. I've been
I'm trying
listening
to
to that Amy Winehouse song.
Which one?
What kind of fuckery is this?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Good one. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like keep my cool. You know, my therapist and I had a really interesting conversation about knowing what you need.
Yeah.
And like so many people aren't able to know what they need. And sometimes they don't know what they need until until the other thing is happening. And then they're like, oh no, this is not what I needed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think I've been one of those people before.
Yeah.
And I think that I'm getting better at identifying what I'm able to handle and what I can't, and like and asking for what I need when I need it.
Yeah.
You know?
You're speaking my language right now. Just this week, you know, my other group chat of Ashley and Kristen, I guess in one of the evenings of this week, I was like, they were like, what's going on with you? What are you up to? And I was like, all I really want is to go to Popeyes and get the pickle glazed sandwich. Like they have a special menu right now of pickle items. And
I love that.
I loved it. And I was like, I really want to go to Popeyes, but it's raining. And Kristen was like, get it delivered. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that because it's raining. I don't want to make someone go out in the rain. And she was like, I could see having that rule in Los Angeles, but you will starve to death in New York City if you don't have someone deliver that pickle sandwich.
I agree with
you.
that. Yes.
I did not go and get the pickle sandwich. And then the next day we were texting, the group chat was texting in the afternoon, and everybody was like, what are you up to today? And I was like, I have to finish up a little bit of work, and then I might go out and get that Popeyes pickle sandwich finally. And Ashley was like, I already fucking got the sandwich based on you mentioning it yesterday. I said, that sounded good, and I already got it, and I'm not even the one that wanted it. And I was like, you just really have summed up a very important thing that I need to know about myself, that like I influenced her to get the pickle sandwich before I got my shit together to even go get it for myself, because I wasn't sure how much I wanted it. And like, how much do you need to want a pickle sandwich.
Right.
Not that much.
No. Go get yourself a fucking sandwich.
I did finally do it. I did. Please don't applaud.
Okay.
But, you know.
Good. I'm glad.
But I identify with that so strongly. Like, you know, knowing what you want is a huge thing.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It ain't easy.
No, it's not easy. And it got brought up because a friend of mine told me a story about offering a thing to someone. Then they were like, hey, yeah, actually, I thought about it. That's a great idea. And then they realized, I can't do that. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of thing that I think I used to be very, 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 I don't even want to use the word guilty because it's a muscle. It's like a thing that you have to practice.
Yeah. For
some people, especially if, depending on your traumas and how you grew up and how you're programmed or whatever. And I do think I'm doing a much better job of being thoughtful about what it is that I actually, and you've been so helpful in that, because I think I will run things by you.
Yeah.
When I'm unsure. But even just yesterday, I was I had a sitter for cricket. I had initially said I was going to go to an opening of a play.
Yeah.
But then I was I had traveled. I was really tired. And friends of mine from LA Jenny and Richard were in town just for the night. And Jenny was we don't have dinner plans. I was supposed to have seen them the day before, but my flight from Chicago, blah, 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 whatever. Sure. I was too tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I don't need to go to a play opening. I can just say no. The world isn't going to stop. Right. And I don't like canceling at the last second on things. It wasn't really the last second. It was in the morning.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay I do think it's okay also to change your mind and be you know what? I had the best intentions.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to do that. That's going to be a bridge too far for me. And knowing which things are musts and which things are not.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Mm-hmm. I think that you're very conscious of which I really admire. If you cancel on going to see a play, it's there's an entire crowd there. No one on stage is depending on seeing your face in the crowd to be able to do their performance, But I don't think that you would cancel on being a bridesmaid in someone's wedding or something the morning of. Obviously, you're very conscious of how meaningful it is for you to be somewhere. And I think that weighs into your decisions, being there for someone versus just being somewhere for fucking no
for whatever
reason. Yeah. Yeah.
And also I didn't know anyone in the play. It's it's not
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what I'm doing my best at. What are you doing your best at?
I'm trying to be a clear communicator.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to reach out to people to clearly communicate about the things that need to get done, that I want to get done, things that are concerning me. Because I tend to live a very interior life where I'm just having these conversations inside my own head constantly. And sometimes it's just easier, instead of having an imaginary conversation in my own head about what's concerning me, sometimes it's better, in fact, probably almost always better, just to have that conversation out loud with someone. If they have the time, if they, have the capacity to have that conversation with you. Because I don't often call on my friends to hear me out about this is this thing that's worrying me, and and I don't know why. I don't want to be a burden, certainly, as a friend. But I also want to be the kind of friend that my friends know that they can count on. And so it's not even I'm not even giving friends an opportunity to be in a real friendship with me all the time, because if I only make it so that leaning on each other goes one way and it's always on me, and I don't ever allow someone an opportunity to be there for me, then it's not really like being fully my friend. And so I've really gotten up my courage to be like, oh, here's how I'm feeling about this thing. And it's just been wonderful to have people be like weighing in on it and giving me advice and, and I'm kind of like, oh my God, this is like what I see friends on TV doing. It's nice, my only examples of how to know how anything goes, yeah, so
I mean, I get it. It's hard.
yeah.
Like I often I'm like, it's hard to know how to be a person.
Yeah. And like the way that I was raised was to like,
Suck it up.
Yeah, suck it up and be as helpful as possible and to demand as little as possible. And, to the point where I would like honestly like learned how to dissociate when I was a kid, to just not need a thing,
Right.
And so like I guess I realized like how much I enjoy being needed and that like it's possible that other people feel that way and it's possible that that allows other people to feel like they know you better when you need something from them. And
Totally.
like also if you're good friends with a person and you need something that they're not able to give you, I think that you'll be able to have that conversation about how it's not something that they can help you with, but that they're cheering you on. So
Yeah.
it's interesting, but it's something that's so simple, but it can be so scary if you don't have a lot of experience in doing that. So I've just been trying to like, not keep everything inside and not hold back on everything. And, I do not want a Gen Zer to tell me that I'm trauma dumping. I do live in fear of that, but
I mean, sure.
but also like I'm not talking to a ton of Gen Zs or
how
Gen
many
Alphas.
how many are we talking about
so
here?
it's not an issue, but but I think it's good. I think it's like a positive thing, and people have been really kind, and so I'm lucky for that.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we hope that you are doing your best at all the things, but at least
finding your best light.
Yeah, definitely find your best light.
Don't go to space. Don't let anyone
talk you into that bullshit. But also check out Cameron Esposito's special, 4Pills.
It literally is special.
It's really great. I think you're going to like it. I really think you're going to like it. And I really like you, Casey. I'll see you next week.
Too. See you next week.
I'm not going to see you because I got to go to Arizona.
You got to go to Arizona. Well, I'm excited for you to be able to sun yourself on a rock, your favorite.
I'm just going to lie straight on a rock.
Like a human fajita.
Yep, that's right. Sizzling it up. Can't wait.
All right, guys, we love you. We'll talk to you really soon.
I love you.
Have
Bye.
a great week. Bye.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best.
Oh, no.